Hey, good morning, everybody. We have come a long way in journaling. Right here on TikTok, can you believe that? That it's week 9, and we're going to talk about being mindful today. Being mindful, and what does that mean when we're mindful? It means a lot, actually. It's a lot. It's defined as a state of active, open attention to our present. That's where we observe thoughts and feelings about judging them as good without judging them as good or bad. That's what being mindful is. We're being mindful, we're just in the moment, we're grounding ourselves. When we're mindful, we're thinking about all of our feelings. And it's good to be mindful. And it's a habit. Being mindful, good morning, Kelly. Good morning, Alicia. Being mindful is a habit. And it's a good habit to have because when you're mindful, it creates a lot of clarity. Because when you're mindful, and a lot of people think, and there's a big question about mindfulness. Good morning. The biggest question about being mindful is, can I be mindful and still think about my future? Yes, you can be. You can think about your future during mindfulness, but remember, it's without judgment. When you're mindful, you're thinking about the present moment, all your experiences, without judgment. It's knowing where you are and where you're at. Let me tell you a story. Have you ever had a day and you came home and maybe the house could be overwhelming sometimes to go home? Hey, is dinner ready? Hey, is this? And people have questions. You just need that moment to decompress. That's your body and your mind telling you need to get mindful. Let me just get grounded here. Come on, I just got home. Let me figure out what it is I want to do. And that is putting yourself in a situation where you can be mindful. And when you're mindful, it's good for stress. It's good for planning. It's good for clarity. Clarity is what we need in life. And when we're mindful and we have clarity into our life, to see things clear, to see things the way that they are, it's like washing a window. I wrote a little something on my board right here. The little hourglass. Remember, older computers have an hourglass. Inner peace loading. Please wait. And as though that might sound funny, you're cultivating clarity in mindfulness. Inner peace is, please wait. Just stop for a minute. Bring yourself to the present moment. And in bringing yourself to the present moment, you're thinking about everything. There's a type of journaling that's called conscious stream journaling, and that's where you just write down your thoughts, where your thoughts are. And those are good things to have. And let me tell you, the best thing to have is to generate enough mindfulness, meditation in your life to where it's habitual, to where it is something that you need. So when you get home, you need to have that decompression. Some people, I just need to get home and decompress a little bit. Getting sometimes to our house or to a place of comfort can cause anxiety. Traffic's in the way. This is in the way. I got to stop to get groceries. I got to do all these things. I got. Right. What you really need is to stay mindful in life and know that there may be a lot of challenges in front of you, but if you take the time to look back sometimes, you've been through challenges already in life. And you've made it through a lot of challenges that you just wondered, man, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to make this happen? What am I going to do? It's because we make life challenging. We make life hard. Living a life where you're not paying attention to things that constantly run you over, that you create on your own, is just as hard as changing your life. This is something that I like to talk about. So you got to choose your hard, because good life is hard and bad life is hard. And to make yourself where you want to be, where you feel at ease and where you feel at comfort, then the best of you comes out. The best of you comes out through being mindful. Some people call that meditating. Some people call that an awareness. But remember, when we're being mindful, we don't judge our feelings. Our feelings are our feelings. And we can't judge them. We can't say, I shouldn't feel that way, but this is how I feel. And that's something that you have to accept, that I feel this way. We're not looking for because of this. We're not looking for because of that. What we're looking for is an improvement in decision making, an improvement in our relationships, the lacking of relationships, and the lacking of motivational of things in our life, and really what makes us tick. What are we loading when we're looking for our inner peace? And we're waiting. What is it you're waiting for? What challenges do you have to overcome? What it is that you're afraid of? What's keeping you from getting inner peace in your life? It's important on a daily level and as much as possible to be mindful. And let me tell you, interesting thing about this. Mindfulness is tied to emotional well-being, like being in shape is tied to exercising. Because when you're mindful, you're going to do it intentionally to be mindful, giving yourself that break, parking your car in a parking lot just to take that minute down, maybe listen to a little bit of music. And in mindfulness, you can drop some happiness into your life. When's the last time you laughed? You belly laughed. When's the last time you were really happy? What makes you sad? Your emotional well-being is so tied into mindfulness, because mindfulness is the thought that you're generating when you take time out. And what are your thoughts? And it's okay if they're fears. It's okay if they're good or bad. You know what? In journaling class, this is totally non-judgmental. And when we're being mindful about our lives and mindful about things that we do, we're not doing it of why did I do that? We don't do that in I'm beating myself up right now because of this list. I'm just mindful. These are the things in my life. And how that helps you is when you're habitually looking at your life, as you should, on a daily basis, it helps you to start making a plan. And in this plan, you are paving your road forward. You've been through things in life that are going to help you navigate. And it's going to help you navigate where you want to go. You could ask yourself a question: how come every time I'm mindful, this comes up into my head? This is a thought that I have. And then I dive deep down into that thought. And then I'm in a rabbit hole. And then maybe I get anxiety and I don't feel well and I feel uncomfortable. These are good places to be, because sometimes it's during our discomfort where we can realize, first, where that discomfort's created. Secondly, what can we do about it? And third, have an open conversation with ourselves through journaling and writing things down. You know, the act of writing something down is so powerful, because it takes that thought out. It puts it out. And now it's there for you to read. Everything that's happened in humankind has been a plan. And when they share plans, whether they were explorers, people on ships, or where we were going, writing was involved. In our history, the writing of the Bible, these are all things printed. That's somebody taking the time to print something that they think's important. Well, you're the author of your life, and you can start writing down and printing things that are important. And if you're afraid that somebody's going to read it, and if you're afraid that it might be seen, then you can write and burn, because writing and burning is still as good. And there's power behind it, because your business is your business, right? So focus on the concentration part of being mindful. And you're going to do that by finding the best time and the best place to be mindful and into the present. When we're scared of something, because this happened, or I'm scared of something of going into the future. You always have the present moment in the future. And you can look around, I'm okay. My fears, my mind is what's really playing the game on us. Do you want to play a game of mindfulness or who can meditate better against a monk? You couldn't, because they would be way ahead. So these are people who think, and people that think in life are always in their present moment. A monk who had not spoken for years and years and years said that the mind's going to play games on you. Now, that's a professional thinker who's saying that the mind's going to play tricks on you. Our mind's going to play trick on us all the time. That's what it does. Right now, what do you notice in your body? And right now, what thoughts are you observing? Right? What are you noticing around you? What do you see, touch, feel, and taste at any given time? And what are you grateful for? What things happened in your life that you're grateful for? These are all sensory moments. When you're being mindful, you're thinking about all your senses: feel, touch, thought, physical, emotional. These are all, it's a lot to take in. Parts of our bodies, how our fingers, toes, every part of us. How does it feel? First of all, I want to thank you this morning because I see people in here that I know have been with me on this whole 9-week journey, going into our 14th week. And today, on week 9, today and Thursday, we're going to talk about the mindfulness and the presence, how we cultivate through the presence awareness, where we find inner peace in our life. And as you can see here, inner peace, please wait. When that's taking time for yourself, how much time do you need for yourself? You have all day to run your thoughts, and hopefully you're journaling, and that your thoughts through the day, and that you notice on a weekly basis, hopefully with journaling and being just self-aware that you're going somewhere with it. And what I mean by that is that there's constant improvement in how you feel. I need to give myself some time, but not too much time. And that's okay, because that's awareness. You know that you don't need much time, but you know that you need the time. And what you had to give yourself through mindfulness is compassion, understanding. Realize you're not the only human. All of us have the same feelings in life. All of us feel pain. All of us feel emotion. All of us are brothers, sisters, sons or daughters, or a friend. All of us work. And all of us are the same, but there's only one you. That's where it becomes to uniqueness. And when we're focusing on ourselves without judgment to realize we're unique, sometimes we find that there's not just a door in front of us, but if we turn around, we can see where we've been. And if we look to the side, we can see paths that may have been better taken in our lives. The balance is never easy. That's the thing. It's hard. And it's hard to be mindful, and it's hard to not be mindful. And that comes to a choice of where do you want to put your effort in life. Do you want to put your effort in life to stay on your path that's going to put you where you want to be and continue your journey? Or do you want to just stay idle? That's where everybody is in life, of where our plans are, where we're going to find our peace, where we're going to find our inner peace. As we get older, sometimes we have a better sense of life and a better sense of where our time is well spent. And we know in life where we need to be. But sometimes we get complacent, and complacency is confusing because The complacency sometimes could come from emotions and the stability that even the things in life that bother us, we still tolerate them. We almost become one with our problems. And that's not what life's supposed to be. We're not supposed to be one with our problems. We're supposed to make it better. And we make that better through journaling, through being aware, and through being kind, but most of all, through gratitude and forgiving of ourselves, forgiveness of others, letting things go. We've got to let go of what's happened in the past to realize that that's over with. And you can have memories of the past, both precious, and it's important to do that because it takes away the stress. So we don't have the same things running through our mind. And it does direct our intentions and our energy. And this is really good right here. So when we're doing that, it helps direct our intentions and energy. And to see that is to believe it. That's where repetition comes in. That's where having habitual behaviors come in. This 14-week journey has to do with habits. It has to do with mindfulness and presence. And it has to do with really doing our own inventory and stop looking at others for validation. To realize where we're from, what we're made of. And when you're having the same habits and the same things going on in your life, you're only making them deep rooted. And then when you get rid of those, there's fresh soil to cultivate, right? There's things in there. Your mindset is 100% a habit, and habit can be changed. Habits can be changed through repetition, through what you tell yourself. What you tell yourself your life's going to be is what your life will be. When you face fears and overcome the fears to change your life will change. Fear is something that you can take with you. You can conquer fear. You can conquer fear because you realize on the other side of fear is a little bit of what you want. And then sometimes we get to what we think we want and it may or may not be the right place. But now we don't have a regret later in life that I should have done that. At least later in life, you can say, I tried it and I gave that a try. I thought that this might be better for me. But our repetitive nature in our life can totally be changed. As a baby, you cried and cried and cried every time you needed something. But then you learned a language and you could ask for it. So the crying was no longer necessary. So the crying and need as a baby who can't communicate is habitual. And then once you're able to speak, you could ask for what you were crying about. And as adults who can communicate, we have to learn to communicate with ourselves to get what we need. Instead of complaining and judging and putting ourselves down, we can communicate with ourselves through pen and paper, through our notepads, through our book. And we can constantly just keep writing our story, so that will create our momentum and the communication. So instead of crying to ourselves about our situation, instead of I'm in a bad spot, what we're going to do is we're going to apply knowledge in what we know, and we're going to make plans on how to overcome fears to go forward in life. That's why you're here. Not just here at this live on TikTok. That's why you're here, to have life was given to you as a gift. And it's your present to open. It has many layers. Imagine your life as this big box. And every layer to get down to the little bitty gift in the middle of it is a layer of paper. And sometimes we're afraid to open up the next layer. Because it's a box, it could be excitement, it could be disappointment, it could be misunderstanding from other people. It could be just a Pandora's box. You don't know what's in it. We don't know what today's going to bring. If you turn on the news, there's shocking news, there's things that happen in life, and they're going to continue to happen. That is a fact. You're going to continue to have life experiences, both good and bad, as long as you're on earth. But being mindful can give you the mental stability and presence that not only is there bad things and hard decisions to make in life, but there's good times ahead of us. There's holidays ahead of us. And when I say a holiday, I'm not talking about Thanksgiving, Christmas, and that. Holidays are days that we live that we're glad to be alive because we're closer to the understanding of who we are, and we become closer to understanding what life is about. And a lot of us have a misrepresentation in our own minds habitually about what life is about. So let's talk about what life is about, right? Life is about a story that we're writing about ourselves to be in the best place that we could ever imagine. And we're going to put ourselves there through writing. And we're not going to let other people and other influences out of our control bother us. And if they do, then it's still our fault because our perception of that other person, our perception of those things are in a default mode habitually. And how that happens is it happens through repetitive thought. Repetitive thought on how we feel about ourselves and how we feel about our circumstances. Repetitive thought about how we feel about our jobs. Repetitive thought about how we think that we need this. I need this because then I'll be happy. If I win the lottery, I will then be happy. An abundance of too much of anything, good or bad, brings problems. Waking up in the morning brings problems. Living life brings problems. They're always in the recipe, right? And when you're mindful in life, you're being mindful of what you're giving. You're being mindful of what you're taking in. You're being mindful of what you're reading. And you're being mindful of your mental health. Sometimes you could ask somebody, hey, is everything okay? Yes, as long as my Wi-Fi's on. As long as my Wi-Fi's on. But what about your emotional antenna? What about the Wi-Fi that you were born with? What about that? So these are the things that we journal about. And this is where we spend our times journaling. This is why we want to spend our times being mindful, present of the mindful, taking our life for real, taking our life seriously, taking our thoughts seriously, and knowing that at any given time, there's people out there making fun of it. There's people out there that are scrabbling it. Enjoying the peacefulness of life, there's always going to be a background noise, and a lot of them are intentional. And that goes with success. When you're successful in life, there's noise being made by failures in life and people that aren't doing what you're doing. And those are the people you don't want in your life. Those are the ones that make you feel down. Those are the ones that take away the present moment. They're the ones that are booing your cheers. And we don't judge people like that. They're just at a different place. They don't get acknowledgement from you. You want to think about it like this. If a chef made the best cake in the whole wide world, but he cut it diagonally, there's people that would criticize that. Those that are always looking for something that's wrong. We don't do that. Us journalers and people who hang out here, we don't do those things. Because we're going to try to find the goodness or the lesson in it. When you are being mindful, you're looking for goodness and you're looking for the lesson in it. Right? That's what you're doing. That's what you're looking for. That's why you're here. And if you listen to me, that's why you listen. To help give you insight, to help give prompts. Giving prompts during writing is what makes writing powerful. When we had our week where we talked about prompts about writing, where could I be in life? What are things, what are lessons I've learned in life? Those are prompts that you give yourself. There's prompts about mental clarity. And I've got some of them. I've got some different prompts from the past and current and take you into the future. One is, right now, what do I notice? That is a prompt for writing if you want to be mindful. What am I noticing the most in my life right now? That is key, because whatever it is in your life that you're noticing right now, the most of what you notice, it could be a feeling, it could be a need, it could be a want, it could be the lack of something. And our minds and bodies send signals. And if we don't apply to those signals, if we don't go aware, if we don't address them, that causes fatigue. It causes anxiety. We got to know what's prompting that thought, what's prompting that feeling. If your side keeps hurting, you would go to the doctor. You don't ignore it. That just happened when I was exercising yesterday. This just happened. Good morning, KJ. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. We're talking about mindfulness today, being mindful in the present, and pretty much all day for clarity, for our mental health, for our better sleep, to stop and slow down racing minds. It's good to see you in here. And right now, we're talking about prompts. And what are 3 things that you're grateful for today? That's a prompt. That's something that you can just even text yourself. What 3 things are happening in your life that you're grateful for? And you don't have to come up with more than 3. And you should be able to come up with more than 3. It could just be a simple, I got an extra 10 minutes to drink my coffee this morning. My favorite song came on the radio this morning, right when I came into the office. That prompted a good feeling. I was grateful for that. It was almost like the universe was like, hey, Ray, you ready to wake up? I'm picking you out a song. Let the universe be your DJ, right? Let what's coming at you. Let what's coming at you be new and improved every day with thoughts that chase away old habits and replace old habits with good thought, and knowing where we don't need those. And you have nothing to worry about because you traveled hard roads. You've had hard times in your life. Thank you, Stormy. You've had a lot of things happen in your life and you made it through. Have you ever done something that you had anxiety about and you survived it? I can name my earliest recollection of doing something I didn't want to do that I did, and it was so exciting I did it again. When I was in kindergarten to 1st grade, we went to Kings Island in Ohio, and there was a big roller coaster called the Beast, and I was afraid to go, and I was just tall enough to get on, and my older brothers brought me on there, and I was scared. They're like, come on. I mean, they dragged me on there, and I got on there, and I was frightened, but it was the best, most exciting ride of my life. I always thought something was going to go wrong. It's going to go off the thing. It went too fast, but it felt good, and it was excitement. Can you believe that I was afraid of something that was going to give me excitement because I didn't experience it, and I was afraid? There's a lot of things that we're afraid to do in life. And let me tell you, the other side of being afraid, there is excitement. Being yourself and being unique and being your authentic self is the only way to be. It's the only way to be, because when you are, it's noticed, and you'll never be asked dumb questions, because questions almost become rhetorical because people will know your answer. They know where you're coming from, and they appreciate who you are, and you get more respect. But along with more respect and success in life, you sometimes get labeled, that guy's just an asshole, that chick's a bitch. You get called names sometimes. Names come with, being solid, knowing what you want. And people identify bad moods with that. Like, he's not even going to think about that? That's the answer I get, is a fucking no? Well, we have thought about it because we're mindful journalers, and we go into the present life, and we know what's good for us and bad. We know it's so good that we can give an answer like that. I don't need to consider going skydiving tomorrow. I don't need to consider a lot of things, right? What can I hear, see, smell, and taste and feel at this very moment? What do I hear, see, smell? What do I taste? That's a present moment. That's probably a good journaling, right? To being mindful. That would be a sensory sensory moment on journaling. Good morning, Queen. We're talking about our 9th week about being mindful, staying mindful for emotional well-being, for stress, and things like that. Good morning, Brian. Another prompt that we could do is emotional naming. You know what emotional naming is in a prompt when you're writing? It's what emotion do I feel most strongly right now, and where do I feel it in my body? Yeah, we can feel emotions in our body. There's certain emotions that can be so strong that they come on sometimes physically. Emotions, feelings, and bad thought are directly tied to your immune system and how you feel physically. Have you ever heard the term? Well, I know that I heard this term from the first time ever from my mother as a teenager. I've been worried sick. I've been worried sick because we couldn't get a hold of you. You were supposed to be home 4 hours ago. That's an emotional feeling in her body. It made her sick. She was worried because she loved me so much that she thought something had happened to me. So what thing or emotion is in your life as a writing prompt that you feel is affecting you physically? And that's a really good prompt to take us into week 9 of Mindful and Present, cultivating our awareness and our inner peace. We're always on the lookout for our inner peace. We're always on the lookout to have a better life. And you're never going to find it ever once, ever, outside of your mind. You're never going to find it. You're never going to find inner peace. There's no amount of money you could win, make, or get that will give you the inner peace without the thought that you actively give yourself, and it takes work. It takes work to make yourself better than you are. It takes work to do nothing about yourself. Because the work when you're doing nothing means that you're going to be the same old way that you felt that you are. You're always going to be right there. This is why week 9 is important. Mindfulness and presence. What things are happening in your life that you feel would make you feel better about yourself, would make you feel more open in your space? What change could happen? For some of us, it could be moving to a new city. It could be, I need a new job. For some of us, it could just be as simple as getting a pet or just taking 2 days off. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. What do I need to let go? And some of us have more than one thing that we need to get rid of. Because you know what's not going to happen? Let me tell you, and I guarantee it's not going to happen. Hello? Who is it? 5 things that you can be. Really? What are they? It's not. We can think into our head who we want to be. Because when we figure out who we want to be, it turns into what we're going to be. And how we are versus how we want to be, where's the difference there? Through our mindfulness and through our meditation when we're making time. Where are we applying force, intentional force in our life to make the changes we need to make? And if we're not applying the force, what are we afraid of? Because something has to be keeping us from doing that. It's complacency. It's a feeling of comfort. And I don't want to have to deal with the changes that are going to make me feel better because I don't want to have to deal with these people. You remember last week we were talking about the gentleman who went on a journey to interview people at the end of their life. And the number one regret was, I wasn't my authentic self because I was afraid of what others would think. I was afraid of what others would think. Do you know anybody from any town where you're growing up who moved away right after high school that joined that maybe the military, maybe they did this or they left town or they went on a motorcycle? These are all people that take leaps. Things that are happening around us in life when people change. Those are people facing fears that are trying to get the most out of while I'm still here. Don't stay chained to a post. Don't be chained to the weight of what's keeping you from moving forward. You're not going to go anywhere in your car if you're pressed between two semis. If one semi's right behind it, touching it, and one's in front of it, touching it. You have to get out and take the work to move them out of the way so you can travel. And sometimes we think our problems are semis, and they're not. They're not. What they are is our problems are choices. We choose to keep them or we choose to get rid of them. That's what they are. They're not semis, they're not mountain. And through choice, we journal and we make a plan to change our challenges. And when you're making a plan and you're making a plan for change, perception has to change. So how are you perceiving what it is you're wanting to do? And what I'm talking about today all has to be directed right toward mindfulness, right toward presence. And it says it on our syllabus. And by the way, Brian, we have to send the syllabus to everybody. It says it right on our syllabus today. Where is it? We're talking about mindfulness and presence and how we can cultivate a relationship with ourselves through staying present in our life. Because we've got to know what's going on. Our daily report to ourselves. We've got to know what's going on in our life. You got to check in on yourself. You've got to have the clarity and the focus. And the clarity and the focus are what's going to make you the plan. What's holding me back? How do I feel right now? And we don't judge ourselves, right? Practical applications of mindfulness can be integrated into your daily life through simple practices such as breathing, mindful breathing. Can you imagine that? See how it's tied to physical ways? Through mindful breathing, meditation, and even mindful eating. Now that's something that I've been trying to do lately, is to have mindful eating, because at the age of 55, I have to have more salmon and chicken and less pizza. And that's hard. That's hard when I've been used to having a certain diet. And I feel that is boring. And it doesn't bring me joy. There's two things I like as I get older. That's taking a nap and eating. These practices encourage individuals to slow down, observe their thoughts and feelings, and reconnect with your surroundings, ultimately fostering a sense of peace and presence in your life. Doesn't that even just sound good? To have peace and presence in your life? To go home from work already decompressed? If you go home and you just feel like, hey, I just need a minute right now. I just got to decompress. I'm not in the mood to talk right now. I don't want to deal with this right now. When you're on it and you're mindful, you go home to interact with whatever you do. Maybe you're building a puzzle. Maybe you're watching your favorite shows on, or this or that. You have to find the beauty in your life, which is being grateful. And you have to intentionally engage in your life of what's beautiful. Do you know about the parks around you? Do you know where the favorite trail is out in the woods? Do you know a favorite fishing spot? Maybe a little, when I lived in Kansas, there was a spot I used to like to go to. And I went there a lot while I was, growing and trying to understand myself through my 20s. I'm not sure if I went there in high school or not, but it was in Wichita off of Douglas Avenue. It was the old train station. And up there were the old locomotives, the strong powered steam locomotives. There's a museum there. And you could go up to the top, and Kansas is really flat. And there was the museum was up there and it was always closed. I could go up there and see and hear traffic and see the sky. It was a good spot because we are the center of our universe that we create. So when we look up and around, that's all of ours. And what do you see? Do you see things that are beautiful? Do you see challenges? Do you see things ahead that you're worried about? And those things can't attack you when you're mindful, when you're in the moment. And when you're mindful and when you're in the moment, you're planning. You're planning ways to live a simpler, easier life. You got to have that daily check-in. You got to have that daily gratitude check-in. There's things that we want to do. And we all have plans, right? We have plans to pay off our house. We have plans to change. We might want to further our education. We might want to go find that one hobby that we never had time for, to realize that we were really good at it. That we're going to find things that fit into our lives just like a puzzle that go together. And your mindset has the largest impact on your behavior more than anything out there. More than your job, more than your bills, more than your problems. Everything that you can think of versus your mindset. Your mindset influences you more than anything and everything else put together. Because your mindset is perception. It's the way you're perceiving things. It's information that you're taking in about something. And sometimes we're wrong. You have to have a wide, broad mindset. And when you do, and you understand things, and you're being mindful about things, this puts you in a direction to navigate who, what, when, and where you are in life. And the perception of what we're not in control of. When things happen that I hate it. If on the way to work every day the train comes and slows you up for 5 minutes and it pisses you off when you run a little bit late, find a different route or get up 30 minutes earlier. You'll never have to deal with it again. So visualize and picture in absolute clarity and belief about what you want in your life. Visualize it with clarity about what it is in your life and what it is that you want to fix, and write about it. What's something I can see changing in my life? And when I visualize that, how is that change going to bring me peace? How is the change that you want to make in your life going to bring you more peace? How's it going to help you find inner peace? How can you bring that right now into your present moment? Is it through journaling? Is it through a plan? Is it getting a different job? Is it walking more? Is it eating better? Is it feeding yourself better information that promotes intentional thought to put on paper? Do you want to write a book? You want to run a marathon? I'll tell you something I've always wanted to do in my life, and I'm going to share it here for the first time because I've never told this to anybody. I've always wanted to finish a 5K, whether I walk it or run it. I'm 55 years old. I've had that desire since I've been in high school. So when we're staying mindful, it's just going to be the practice of deliberately paying attention to the present moment with openness, curiosity, and without any types of judgment. It involves cultivating awareness of your thoughts, your feelings, your body sensations, and the environment as they are happening, rather than getting caught in the past or the future. I know I do need to sign up, Queen. That's it. That's how easy it is. And I would love to do that. I know there's one around Thanksgiving in Dover because I went up there for my sister's Thanksgiving one time, and there's all these runners and people that are really running, and some of them travel. Actually, the attorney that works for our company takes time off to run. It runs, I mean, everywhere. She goes to New York, Seattle, everywhere, man. She finds out there's a marathon. She goes. And that's, I mean, what, I can walk and jog. I know. I've always wanted to do that. Just for that finish line, for that feeling, right? And there's a lot of things we want to do in life. And I have excuses. Oh, I don't have enough time. Oh, I need to quit smoking. I don't have the right shoes. And I think that I probably will do that one day. So mindfulness in your life. What I'm reading is a little study about people that are mindful, and these are things that I had printed out while I was working on this syllabus for this of what and how I could teach it and how I can explain to you guys in a good way the benefits of journaling and how you can apply it into your life. And today we're on week 9. 9 weeks, man. And what's so cool is I've seen some of the same people in here, and that makes me feel good. That's why I do it. It gives me a sense of purpose, and I like sharing it. And hopefully, if you use some of these techniques, or even if I just change your mindset in a positive way just a little bit, that makes me feel good. So when we observing our thoughts and our feelings, and when we reconnect with our surroundings, ultimately, it's going to foster a sense of peace and presence, right? It has been linked to various physical health improvements, including lower blood pressure, reduced chronic pain, better sleep quality. These benefits contribute to an overall healthier lifestyle. And it's a fact, because when you have mindful eating, I know for a fact, there's certain things that inflame you, right? You won't be inflamed. And if you do mindful thinking, you're not going to think about what pisses you off all day. And if something really pisses you off, you might want to write about that and find out, what it is and how can you change that. And it's going to be through your thinking. It's going to be through your perception, right? There's a lot of things in our life that annoy us, and we're looking for a distraction sometimes, because distractions in our life, they're really good for people that have excuses and not get shit done. Because of this, because of that, I was distracted with this, I can't do this because of that or that. Believe me, I know the distractions. What about my distractions that go 35 years of not even walking a 5K, when every city that I've lived in, hasn't been that many, has a yearly 2 or 3 5Ks. I bet you if I Googled it right now, there's one going on this weekend. They have I live right outside of DC. They have these runs and walks all the time. And I don't know why. I think that sometimes I felt like I didn't belong there, that I wouldn't get it done. What if I failed? So we all, whether we journal or anything, man, I'm human like everybody else. I have things that I'm afraid of. I have worries and things like that. But I try to stay on track of my life and know that I value. And I try to love those around me. And I do love those around me. I don't try, but I put in effort. And I put in effort to be mindful. And when you do the same thing, it's going to enhance your clarity about different things. And I'll tell you, if you really want to do something for yourself, just smile at yourself. Find the humor in your life. Knowing that, and I don't care what your age is, but knowing you're a good kid. That's what my dad called us growing up. Hey, kid. And I miss that word. And that's a good word. And we don't stop having fun when we get old. Not having fun in life will make you old. You have to find adventure in life. You have to find something that gives you fun. You have to be around laughter. And laughing at yourself sometimes is really good therapy. When you're mindful and you have your thoughts. Good morning. Thank you, Maureen. We get old when we stop playing is so true. Look at that right there. There's wisdom right there. We get old when we stop playing. And when you stop playing, you get all kinds of ailments and things like that. And when you stop journaling too, when you stop being mindful, you can't just jump on life's river without being mindful. It is a current, and the only thing that's counting down is our clock. And during this time, while this clock counts down, our journey's going to end somewhere. But in the meantime, we want to have emotional well-being, physical benefits, and mental clarity. And all these things are going to enhance the quality of our lives. And when I say that they end, I don't believe that. I do believe we just change. So I do want to throw that in there because that's really important. And we're here to learn a type of lesson with us. And I believe through journaling, writing things down, and keeping a record of your life, your feelings, and your thoughts, whether you're really good to do it mentally, you still got to jot some things down. You still got to do notes. When I go walking sometimes, I've been doing a little bit more walking. If I have a thought, I just say it into my notes. Good morning. Welcome in. I just say it into my notes, and I like reading my notes later. I like reading the ones from 6 months ago, 8 months ago, this, and that, right inside my phone, up under the notes. They're just personal notes I have. Sometimes there's sentences or quotes that come up, and it's interesting when you read them because I come up with a lot of stupid ideas sometimes that I see as irrelevant, and at that moment I thought that it made a lot of sense. So we're always in a different day of our life. I think in your morning, when you're most aware, when you wake up and you've reset and you're rested, is a really good time to have some extra. You definitely see the progress. You do. But it's a really good time to start your day off good with being mindful and understanding what's going on in your life. In the morning, that's your reset. Everything goes the way that it starts. And if you start your day off good and you start your day off with self-love, you will walk through a wonderful day. That doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. It just means you're going to be able to manage your perception of things, of what you can and you can't control. And you're going to put intentional effort into making it a good day. Why? Because that's what you want. And that's what I want for you. I want nothing more for you to find the insight in your life of what makes you tick in a peaceful way. You deserve that. That's what was given to you. That's why you were born and raised. And you were loved. And some of us can say, I wasn't loved. This happened to me. That happened to me. You know what? I got some of that in my life too. But you know what? That happened because of others that made it happen. And that doesn't make us who we are. What it makes us is people that took the time, the ability, and effort to examine ourselves, to look at ourselves in a mindful way, non-judging, to realize that we are good people and you're a good person. If you step into life being mindful, your life's going to have clarity. It's going to have less stress. Your mind's not going to be boggled down. And it's going to help you find out who you are. That's what you want. Good morning, Couch. You want to be on your side in this. You have to be on your side. You have to be mindful. You have to have presence. And you have to thank you, Couch. You have to take the time for that. Effort, intentional. Remember, you want intentional mindfulness. Time for mindfulness. Time to reload. And the best part about being mindful, is you can do this at work, you can do this at home, you can do this while you eat, you can do this at lunch, you can do this while you're working. Can you believe that? All day long. That's a mental habit. That is a mental habit. Key points about mindset as a habit is a repetitive nature of thinking about your life in a way that you're not beating yourself up, in a way that you're being kind to yourself. Think of your work, what you've done, your accomplishments. Think of your failures. Think of the way that you perceive things and how you might be able to perceive them better, to realize that some things that are a pain in the ass in our life are actually might benefit us. Think of somebody you don't care for, one thing that you like about them. Realize they're human too. Not everybody likes country music. Not everybody likes metal music. Not everybody likes classical music. But there's enough out there. Yes, hidden blessings. Look at that. Man, I love that. I love it when somebody puts out a little comment like that, right? Isn't that awesome? I think that a lot of stuff can be changed in our life. While deeply ingrained, a mindset can be intentionally changed by actively challenging negative thought patterns and practicing new ways of thinking. right? And that's what you want. You want to have new ways of thinking. When you spiral into worry and negativity, it's a pause and reset awareness. You see that right there? That's being mindful. That I don't need to worry about this. Why am I doing that? We're going to replace our negative thoughts with good ones. With good ones. We're going to be around people that are positive. We want to be around people that are positive. And sometimes even the positive people in our life, you know what? We all have hurdles. We all have trips. Sometimes we get, we feed into some emotions that we shouldn't do. But the number one emotion to watch out for, to me in life, is don't feed anger. Anger goes away. This is scientifically proven. You're on your phone, you can Google it anyway. In under like 60 to 90 seconds. That's why when anger comes, or if you're mad, just take that break immediately. That's being mindful. That's being mindful in the moment. I'm not going to engage into an argument with somebody. I'm not going to engage into a fight. When you let it go, the other person might keep feeding it. Why the fuck did they leave this and that and stay angry? But we don't. Anger is a bad emotion to feed, right? It has a big impact on your behavior when we choose the wrong mindset. The bad impact part of it is our health, our mental health, possibly our reputation. How we feel about ourselves directly impacts everything in our life, from our jobs to what we're doing, to how we feel, to how we eat, to what we do for ourselves. We need to have intentional momentum to go forward into our lives in a good way. In a good way, through journaling, through writing, through possibly your church. I don't talk about religion a lot, but you got to have something to believe in, right? Give me something to believe in. I think that's a song by Poison. We're saying about somebody's veteran brother. There's a story behind that. One of the facts that I wanted to go over today is that there's people, and I get DMs from people, and the worst ones are where people think that they're worthless. And let me tell you, nobody's worthless. That's impossible, because there's value in every life. There's value in everything that you do. Yeah, Brian, Poison. There's value in what you do. You woke up valuable today. Now, are you going to use the values? Are you going to cultivate what tools you're good at using for you in your life, not for others? What are you going to do today that can increase your value and make you aware? So here we are, the beginning of week 9. Can you believe that? We've made it 9 weeks of 14 weeks. I'm proud of everybody here. I'm glad when people come in here, and I love seeing the same names. So week 9, we talked about mindfulness, presence, cultivating your presence and your awareness. And you see my little thing I wrote here with the little hourglass? Inner peace loading, right? Please wait. And some thoughts that intrude are rude and lies. No one is worthless. That is so true. And those are the thoughts. Do you guys remember this book that I showed you? It's called The Intrusive Thoughts Toolkit. Quick release for obsessive, unwanted, or disturbing thoughts. I'm telling you, man, the first freaking 2 paragraphs are like all you have to read. And I'll give you a suggestion that works for me. When I do buy books, I usually go and I'll read them a little bit and not buy them. But then when I read enough of them, it's because there's parts of it that resonate to us. This whole book's not going to resonate to everybody, but parts of it do. That's the reread page. The episode you want to watch again of your favorite show, or your favorite movie you want to watch. There's reasons of things that resonate. They could make you laugh, or you can see yourself in there. And play that by me again so I can understand a little bit better. That's what you could do. Find a book, a phrase, something that resonates to you and write about it. Those are the little quotes that we have. People that have daily quotes, if they have one for every day of the year, not every one of them is going to resonate to you, but some of them are. And that's what's good. Awareness is good. What Alicia said, some of our thoughts are rude. Some of them are bad. And when you challenge your thoughts, the first step is to challenge them. Take a belief list and pretend that those are the words of your dearest friends, or maybe your child's words. Write yourself a letter disproving those beliefs. And write your positive affirmations based on a belief list. That's journaling. Those are journaling prompts. Write a list. Try a line down the page. What are you really good at? What do you feel that you're bad at? And that's the difference between you have self-esteem, which is created in youth, and then you have self-belief, and you have confidence. Confidence is knowing that I can do this because you've already done it, right? Be confident that you can journal. Be confident that you're going to have a good day because you've had them before. And you've let bad days take over sometimes, because I have too. We all have. When you write out an action plan to change your mindset, it's challenging in the beginning, but you may feel outside of your comfort zone. And when we get outside of our comfort zone in life, this is a good thing, because the complacency has to leave. The security of certain things have to go away in our life. And don't give up. And then one day you're going to realize, because you wrote it down, that things changed. And that was using journaling to adopt a healthy mindset and a healthy lifestyle. And you could use a lot of different writing tools. You can use conversations with yourself. But being mindful and staying present in your life and aware of how you're thinking and how you're feeling and where you're going and what you need, and you're absolutely sure about it, then go get it. And don't be worried or don't be afraid. It's you that needs it. Remember, a crying baby cries habitually to get what they want, and then eventually they learn the language that they're born into, and they can ask for it. Stop crying in your life today. Learn your own self-language and give yourself what it is you need. And you can start that through journaling. Encourage compassion to yourself and start feeling good about what you're doing. Improve your focus and your concentration and make better decisions, and it will help improve all of your relationships and so on. Today's Tuesday. It was week 9 of our 14-week journaling class, which I'm going to miss. I really enjoyed doing this, and I really enjoyed the people in here. If you're in here, I want to thank you. And I hope that I said something today that resonates with you, that's going to help you carry a good day on. And if you're somebody who frequently joins me, I especially thank you, because you give me a reason and a purpose. And I take it as a compliment if you stay in here more than a minute or two. And some of you stay in here the whole time. And I can't imagine how I could even write about the gratitude I have for you. I hope that everybody has a great day. Be kind to yourself. Thank you.